Maybe I'll do stairs actually for a little while. Just the slow and steady pace up the stairs. Not on that one. Oh yeah, I'm already live. Yo, what's up? Just gonna go slow. A little bit of a different motion, you know? Kind of like squatting, but assisted squats a little bit. Yo, thank you for the like. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to today. And if I wasn't already the first one to welcome you, hopefully the sun at least was. So last night, my dreams, I had this dream that I was like on a cruise ship, but it was being invaded by zombies. It was pretty wild actually. I woke up from it and like, it was super hard to see who was getting infected. It was definitely like a zombie dream, like, and I had to get this shot because some girl bit me on my arm and they're like, yeah, you have to get a shot now. But they had like a cure for it. It was just like you had to get a shot, but you know, circumstances didn't allow for everybody to get a shot or something. So yeah, it was a weird zombie dream. And there were these bugs. Like after the war was over, I had like a jacket or like a shirt on kind of thing. And I like took it off and I was looking around and it's like there was zombie bugs, little tiny zombie bugs, like bed bugs in my clothes. And I was like, you guys, everyone just needs to throw away their clothes, like throw them away. And one guy was like, nah, I don't need to throw away my clothes. I'll just clean them off. And I'm like, dude, you can't. You gotta throw it away, man. So that was my dream last night. Just kind of off the wall, typical zombie dream, you know? So yeah, I was like looking around at my clothes and saw all these little bugs and just thought, yeah, like this needs to go, you know? This needs to go. So they did. The clothes all went bye-bye. I went and threw them away. But it was a gnarly dream because I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, that's scary. You know, that was like a scary dream. But it kind of reminded me of my own experiences where it's just like, you want to know what a zombie invasion feels like? If I had to like paint a picture of it and say that this is the general feeling of one, is it's like the feeling that everything just quits. Everything just quits and nothing works anymore from your perspective. Like even making sense and using reason and things like that doesn't work. That's what it's like dealing with zombies. And in some ways, I think that the zombies are here. You know what I mean? It's like, no matter what you say, they're so, like seriously sheltered in their like vocabulary, basically, almost. Just the idea of this, something being more fluent is like beyond their understanding, basically. And so everything is super basic to them, but it's like life is full of like complicated parts and somebody shouldn't be judged based upon their like complexity of as to how they view the universe works. It's like, you know, take into consideration this idea that it's like life is so fleeting and who's to say what one person should be elevated above the rest, you know? And it's like when somebody specializes in something that is foreign to you, you know, or they're much more of a basic individual themselves, like the funny thing is it persecutes both sides kind of thing. It's like you can't be a complex individual and you can't be a basic individual. You just have to be a zombie. is the like plain matter of it. Like you just have to be a zombie in this age, in this era. Like there was like a goth and punk era, then there was like a gang era. It's like if I had to like state what this era of like the US is, it's the zombie era, you know? It like, we used to study all these phases of like the United States in history class, right? And it's like, oh, you have like the progressive era, and you have like the era full of like yuppies and things like that. Like it's like full of all the yuppies. And then, you know, then you have like a goth and punk era that kind of came along. And then there was like a gang era. And the era of today is definitely a zombie era. It's like, I think it's because information is so proliferated that everybody believes in like life being this totally plastic sort of existence where the only the best parts like create this man. And so it's like the man of ideals. And it's like some weird form of Captain Planet where he's like, you know, Frankenstein built of all these parts kind of thing. But the thing is if you took a man realistically made up of all these things, maybe he would look like an abomination like Frankenstein, where you could see the seams, where everything comes together eventually, just like the geographies of a map or something. But in reality, we don't see this man. It's like this guy doesn't really exist, you know? But we're all blindly like touching it. As the old reference goes, like touching an elephant blind, like 4 people are gonna say something different about it or whatever. And in all reality, I feel like I could know if I was touching an elephant realistically though, because the animal has characteristics that are pretty like, you know, characteristic of itself. So I feel like I understand what I'm touching, you know? It's like this ideal image, you know, kind of thing. I think there's actually a photography shop called Ideal Image, like in my hometown or whatever, but yeah, it's the zombie era, guys. It's totally the zombie era. If you're not a zombie, which, you know, means that you're not, it's just like all time. Nothing really changes, but it's a matter of time. And if you can't accept that like the only way life has a narrative, which is somehow like communicated, is that time is the equalizing factor between all things, because, you know, just the fact that somebody keeps going and they experienced all this stuff, I think it puts them in a category just the same as somebody who was on the leading edge of everything. Now, why do I say that? It just goes back to this whole sense of like spirituality, you know what I mean? Of some great picture that everybody looks at, sort of picturing everybody and bringing everybody there, you know? So this sort of mundane individual gets like totally like sideswiped and like rear-ended by this system, because if you're not somebody who's like basically having proof of, you know, something of being able to lead everybody in some certain direction, basically you're just like, you're squashed in this world. And it's just like, yeah, you have to basically do all this stuff unless you want to like freak out like I did, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, try to fight the zombies. You know, you can try to fight the zombies for sure. Maybe Zombieland was like a parody of like our actual life. What's up, Faisal? Welcome, man. I'm just saying how America's like Zombieland. You know, and if you try to come up with something complex in your own way, because you've just sort of like, what am I doing? This is the stairs. It's called a stair stepper in the gym. It's just a different kind of cardio. You can like walk slow up these stairs basically forever. It's like on a thing that rotates, all these stairs. So if you try to like say that like, okay, well, you know, given all the like intricacies of life, the biggest thing that anyone can do is try to come up with some like new way of thinking for themselves. Where's everybody? They're around here, but it's not very packed this morning. I'm on a machine in the back corner of the room. There's a lot of people here, but again, I don't really film everybody else, so I try to keep just myself in frame. So there's people here. There's a lot of people here. You can hear the music playing or whatever. Everyone's just quiet. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning for everybody here. Like, this is like the morning group of people that come to the gym. You know, everybody just kind of walks. Mostly it's like a lot of walkers. Everybody just comes and walks on the treadmills. Every once in a while there's some people that talk, and you know, they come with like a friend and they just talk the whole time or whatever, but it's probably the least busy time of the gym is early in the morning. So that's where everyone is. They're just off doing their own thing, like outside the screen, you know, right over here, right over there. You just can't see anybody. And again, I don't really film anybody else in here anyway, so. But yeah, this is the stair stepper. So if you try to relate life to being something that's personal, which I think that in today's age, I don't think it's very much of a step to try and relate like this idea of energy being like imbued into all things. It's not necessarily just consciousness of the brain, basically, right? Because where did everything come from? Everything's the same. And so the greatest thing you can do is create some form of advancement for you, some complexity. Yeah, step it up, bro, I know. Step up, I'm stepping right now, man. I got my lunges and little lunges going. But yeah, this system is like very effed, basically. I can tell you that from experience. Everything is created by consciousness. Yeah, I agree. In the beginning, yeah, 100% agree. So it's like, you know, you should be able to have these perspectives, but I've been attacked by this system for trying to say that, like totally, you know what I mean? So, like by zombies. My dream was basically related to like trauma that I've had, you know, where it's like people can't understand you kind of thing, and it's like even the people close to you turn on you, basically, like some autoimmune disorder, which is like where your body attacks itself, you know. So I've been attacked. But that's what my dream was last night, probably just trauma from that, you know. So just trauma. That's what a zombie invasion is like. There's like the complex aspect of it. You know, nothing can be about you, but everything is about you. At least that's what everything says, because everything is the same thing, so there's no way that it's not. But at the same point in time, this complex idea can't be thought. And so the more you think about it, the more you're wrong, because it actually exists, but it's just some statistics, really. And if somebody is faulted for trying to make life something that's personal to them in some complex way, where they don't necessarily do things in a violent way or whatever, but you know, just basic stuff like that, guys. Anyways, welcome to the morning stream. Is AI an observer? Yeah, I kind of think so, but I'm even like one step further, you know? Yeah, the USA dollar is strong for sure. A lot of people invest in it. There's a lot of people, when Trump went into office, everybody started investing in America again. I mean, as soon as Trump became president, stocks went up like 50%. That's like a huge jump. It's like record breaking. Like, I made money. I had some money in the stocks. Like, I made like $500 in like 2 hours, just because Trump went in office. But yeah, is AI an observer? Like, I kind of think that even like art is an observer. Everything's an observer. Like, even like this machine is an observer. It just represents like a different aspect of this conversation. It's like this conversation can be more like dull and like enduring. That's like the conversation of a machine, you know. And something about art is much more about repose and the idea that you can sort of parallel everything to create these like pictures of life which are true, but it's sort of like cemented in time, like understanding that the moment is forever, you know, and everybody tries to sort of exaggerate those facts. Same thing with poetry. Poetry, I feel like, tries to escape time, actually. In some way, it's an observer which tries to understand the nature of things themselves and where everything comes from. Where does the word come from? Where do these ideas come from? And it's the closer you get to that idea, the more that things don't necessarily work linearly, but they work circularly and in parallels next to each other. Beside, there's the ability to change thoughts on a dime. You can be doing one thing, and in poetry, it's not necessarily incorrect to jump to all of a sudden a cat bathing, watching a cat bathe itself. You can jump around like that in poetry. So it doesn't necessarily like obey time, but I think everything is an observer, and it's just a different like idea of the observer, you know, like it's just a different sensation. It creates a different identity, a different consciousness as soon as you interact with something that has a different aspect to it. You know, this might sound all new age, but I don't think it necessarily is. It's just, does something change your mood? Like, people have to realize I'm just saying something in like a complicated way. It doesn't necessarily mean I can't say it basic, right? It's like, does something affect your mood? Well, how does the aesthetics of it make you feel? It's pretty basic. Like, and I feel like everybody would, you know what I mean? Like, be pretty, like, being kind of true to themselves would agree with that. That, like, yeah, things do change feelings and moods and emotions and stuff like that based upon your interaction with them. The coloration and texture of things changes your moods and how you feel, you know? Different things hold different aspects. Again, but then you can either believe in complete subjectivism, which is complete individualism, which means that's different for everybody, you know? Or maybe there's some spectrum along every line. The more you interact with one thing, people have to think about this in a complex way. And guess what? I've been like highly criticized by the system for saying stuff like this, but maybe the longer you interact with one thing, the more that its emotions become a broad range of things, which means that it can relate to everything or anything. So then everything has the ability to express everything, just a matter of time and your engagement with it. So, I mean, doctors have like heard me say stuff like that, and they've like come and like arrested me because they're like, he's like spreading, they think I'm like spreading like wokeness or something. They think I'm spreading wokeness, or like I'm trying to tell them that the world isn't what they think it is, or whatever. I've been arrested, yeah. Terrible. That's why I say, like, this is the age of zombies. It's like no longer can you express yourself or something. And I've definitely fought against that, like, as hard as I could, which at least made me feel like, you know what, like, if I perished or went away, then it's like, at least I tried. Like, I really did try my hardest to like overcome circumstance and overcome chance and all the statistics. Tried to be as normal as I could, while at the same point in time acknowledging that life has emotion. Normalcy is almost a lack thereof. And emotion is imbued into and an integrated part of everything. You know, so everything can be personal. It's not wrong to see yourself as the main character, as long as you're able to be a character who's well developed. And the more well developed your character is, the more characters there are. So saying stuff like that, right? And then painting a picture about I should be able to, in the most profound depths of epistemological contemplation, one must acknowledge that consciousness serves as the primordial architect of the observing entity, manifesting the very foundation. Yeah, I agree with that. I think consciousness was in the beginning. I think consciousness was something that's in the very beginning, so everything is a conscious act, basically. I agree with that. Through its perception becomes possible, this observational capacity, in its most fundamental essence, crystallizes the amorphous quantum possibilities into what we conventionally recognize as, I'm reading it, I agree with all that so far. It's just, you know, you say things like that in like a very like conservative area where everybody just You know, they don't pay attention to anything like that. They don't let it like lead their life or anything, you know, so. How's it going? Objective reality, through this intricate dance of awareness and observation, the nebulous wave function of potential existences collapses into the tangible tapestry of experienced phenomena, thereby. Yeah, I just think that the problem that I've had is trying to explain things like that. The more you try to explain things like that, the more that it's like a language that sounds like it's made up. People don't like the fact that life is made up. Yo, what's up, Lalu? Pasvan, what's up? Birthing the very fabric of what we, in our limited capacity to comprehend, interpret as the concrete universe. This recursive relationship between consciousness, observation, and manifested reality. Yeah, I agree. It's just, you'll be persecuted for saying stuff like that. You'll be ostracized. Almost like in my name. My name's Austin, and I feel pretty ostracized, you know? Forms an elegant trinity where each component simultaneously creates and is created by the others, much like an ontological Ouroboros eternally consuming and regenerating itself. Yeah, I agree. It's just you'll have trouble saying something like that to people around where I'm from because they'll just think you're making stuff up and they'll say you have schizophrenia. If you say something like that, every word made sense. It's just big words. And see, people here are super basic. It's like, if you say something like, we have the ability to change our circumstances, they'll agree with that more. It's kind of saying the same thing, like life is moldable, but you have to say it like that. Otherwise, where I'm from, people will say that you have a mental disease or whatever. And they'll like hospitalize you and stuff for saying that, because I have been. That's my life, that's my reality. That's why I think it's like a state of zombies. You know, because this idea exists that nobody can reach. So ultimately it just results in zombification of the masses. Because everybody has to like fall asleep to these ideas and not challenge them. You know, what is what is. But yeah, like, unless you're like somebody who has themselves a lot of money already, and you basically have the ability to take care of yourself, you know what I mean? Like, 100% in any way, like in every way, which is really, I think, impossible for a large majority of people. You know what, you have health insurance, you have like car insurance, you have internet, you have utilities, you have housing payments, you have land property payments, you have to buy a car, you have to buy a house, you have to pay your, you know, mortgage or whatever, and it's like dental. Then all of a sudden you have to pay for all this stuff like food, internet, you know, like it's ridiculous. But the more that you use that argument, the more you can say like everything comes from this place and it's almost free. Everything comes from this place and it's free. But trust me, if you try to like say that and like live that and say everything comes from this place here, it won't work. It won't work in Utah. Everybody's way too conservative. It won't work here. Everybody will say that you're like on drugs and like need to be like taken out of society. In Utah, at least. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than all the previous centuries of its existence. Nikola Tesla, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why I kind of lean towards philosophy, because most of the sciences nowadays are just hard science. They rely on like technology basically, and nothing matters beyond that perspective. But I like to think that technology is just a matter of time, and we as things that are part of technology are just communicating with this representation of reality, right? And I can't say that because what it does, it takes away people's credit and ability to monopolize and capitalize off of things if I say that we're just participants in time. And as time changes, it allows us to basically view reality in a different manner, as we basically are a part of it and we experience being a part of it. But trust me, you can't say that. You can't say that to people here. They'll think you're wacko. They'll seriously think you're wacko. They'll, you know, and if you say it enough, if you say it every day for like months, they will call the cops on you. they'll say you're like disturbing the peace and things like that. And it's like you're just a freeloader who doesn't know how to work and can't work and is trying to take advantage of the system and take advantage of everybody around them. If you say that, trust me, I have the scars to prove it. Gotta be careful where you are and what you say, even if it sounds true, you know, so. But yeah, a lot of people here like their money for sure. They love their money and they love their ability to say that they earned it or whatever, so. It's very hard to say stuff like that. And again, you're better off just being super basic and saying something like, people should help each other because life is so like much of a chance or something. You're way better off than like saying that, like, you know, I can't do everything, I'm trying my hardest, and allowing the system to correct for that rather than saying this. Because this does create an essence of freedom in reality by everything being from a place that doesn't necessarily attain by work and through work. So what it does here is it dissolves people's ideals or ideas that they have the ability and right to own things. But America's had that problem for a long time. That's why they were attacked in 9/11 or whatever. Like, a lot of people overlook that fact. Like, if we didn't have such a bad image, like worldwide, about like how we viewed money and everything else, and like the idea of, you know, the strong beating the weak or whatever, then that probably wouldn't have happened. Like, it's sad. I'm not saying that it's not sad, but I'm just saying that's their reasoning, you know, is like stuff like that. Yeah, you can't say stuff like that here. You're either like, if you go into like too much, like everybody should help each other, you're a socialist or a communist. If you go into too much of like, life is this conscious perspective, you're an egotistical schizophrenic who has mania. You're a mania-ridden, egotistical schizophrenic if you talk like that. And, you know, so the only thing that's really accepted here is just like the idea that you've done everything on your own. But it has to, but see, that's like very egotistical, but it has to be like luck. It all has to be by luck. It can't be like, people here just worship like chaos almost, you know, so to speak. Just like this idea that you came across something or came up with something, basically, had some idea. Like, where do all these ideas come from, you know? Is it just life changing its perspective? Like the world is a giant eyeball, you know, like a pupil inside the sun kind of thing. And we're just like rotating around our perspectives, you know, and changing our ideas to navigate that world as soon as it comes into being. But yeah, don't say that here, you know? And I've recognized, like, I can have a conversation with people on my YouTube channel, but I don't talk to people, you know what I mean? Like, unless it's like some weird introduction or something, or I feel safe and it's kind of like one-on-one, I don't talk with people like that. And it's like, nobody here can overhear me, you know? There was one guy that made a comment the other day, but when he did, nobody else in the room even noticed. It just like told me that it was just because he was standing next to me for like 3 seconds or something and heard something. He came and made a comment, but. And then, yeah, like, then you do like have luck, sort of. Luck is on your side and you own everything. Then it's like you're an oligarchist, like fascist or whatever, like Nazi. It's just like you can't win anyway. Like, maybe it's better to say that, you know, like there's no way to like truly make everybody happy. There really is no way. And then you can sort of break down all the paradigms that everybody has about this world, because then everybody's an individual unto themselves. All the organizations and everything are basically like pictures. Somebody took a picture, but if you're interacting with the individual, you're interacting with the idea of identity. These pictures and monoliths, they represent society. That's just what they are, is pictures. If you want to interact with something alive, interact with the idea of individuals. Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I've been physically, like, they took me in. I had to go and sit through like a bunch of stuff and just be like, okay, like, you know, yeah, for sure, I still do too, but I just have to realize like where to say them if I don't want to like suffer. you know, or kill myself or whatever. If I don't want to kill myself, I have to like, cause they'll put me in a state, like if they take you away and like break you down, like you will be like Morpheus inside of the Matrix kind of thing. Like they're just sitting there like trying to kill you or whatever. You know, and how do I relate that experience to all of this? Like just maybe the higher, the greater the height, like the more fear of the fall. Maybe I just got really high up there, you know, and it was like outer space. So it was like the fall was in every direction, you know, and eventually I just had to come down and come to land and like understand that birth and from birth, the human being is a susceptible thing to all these liabilities of life, and you're guaranteed nothing, you know, but I can still try to like strengthen my arguments and try to like defend my idea of the soul from like all sides, you know. So anyways, guys, it's like a nice morning workout. I got a pretty good sweat going. 30 minutes on the stairs, so we can stop now. But I'm gonna go to the coffee shop now, have my morning coffee, and hopefully I'll see you guys there. We can continue this conversation or talk about something else, you know what I mean? Like, we have the ability to let it go. We have the ability to let it go because guess what? We've come to a conclusion, and if it's true, it exists in the beginning as well. So our conversation is held, it's perfected. We don't have to necessarily scream it around or have it be dominating our mental capacity and taking up all our time. It's something that's true, so we can let it go and let it be free, just like we imagine things being in the beginning, you know, so. But I've been literally physically abused. Like they've taken me in and like for saying stuff like you're saying or whatever. So, and just like living off of imagination and the idea of like playing with things, and life is, you know, something that's based upon intention and thought, and it will eventually lead you to a place where you express whatever complex thinking you're sort of understanding, you know, so. Yeah, everything here is just a matter of just like, you have to have, it's just such a fine balancing act, you know? Just a super, super fine balancing act. Anyways, guys, I'll see you at the coffee shop if you want to join me. Bye.